Coming up on show 787, Elon talks about Tesla's next-gen Roadster's SpaceX thrusters. Also on the show today, talking more about Leno driving the Tesla Cybertruck. That special is coming soon. The first plug-and-charge technology for tritium. It's on the way. And how electric cars will soon be rolling out of the Arizona desert thanks to Lucid. Well, those stories and many more coming up on the podcast today. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily. What happened on Saturday, 23rd of May? My name is Martyn Lee, and I go through every EV story so you don't have to. Well, the newest season of Leno's Garage started on May the 20th, and if you've been keeping updated with what's going on, one of the cars that will be featured on the show is Tesla's Cybertruck, says Motor1.com. Now, Elon went for a ride with Leno. We got some footage that's been released as a promo, as a teaser. When asked what will be changed about the production-spec Cybertruck, Elon said they've made the show car a bit bigger than what was ever intended. The real thing in the TV show, he says the real thing will be smaller by 5%. Although Elon confirmed the proportions, at least, will stay the same. Well, that kind of contradicts Elon Musk's tweet saying the Cybertruck's width will be closer to 82 inches rather than 80. Then again, we won't actually know the real measurements until the final production version rolls off the factory floor, as it were. A couple of recent tweets from Elon to look out for to put this all into a bit of perspective. He tweeted this, I quote, "Reviewed the Cybertruck design with Franz last night. Even 3% smaller is too small. It will be pretty much this size," referring to the prototype. So that is one tweet from Elon. He then follows it up to say we'll probably do a smaller, tight world truck at some point. So looks like between recording the TV show with Leno and these things always have a long lead time, don't they? Where he said, we're going to make it 5% smaller. And the tweet today, which is, we tried to make it smaller, we can't. It's that size. I think the idea to make it smaller was to make it more of a kind of a common size truck that would fit in what many garages are built for. I don't know. The whole thing is irrelevant to many UK owners here. So it wouldn't fit in my garage, nowhere near. We're just not built for trucks that size. But by the look of it, when I say Franz, that is Franz von Holzhausen. He's the chief designer of Tesla. He and Elon have worked forever on everything since Model S, and by the sounds of it, Cybertruck was big. They were going to make it smaller. Now it's staying big again. Look, I'm probably only talking about a few inches here and there. Whether it means it can or can't fit inside your garage, I don't know. But, it has got that 3 across seating. So I suppose if you are starting to make them smaller, you got sort of shoulders rubbing. It's 3 up front and 3 behind. Although up front, it's the middle person, the third person, if you like, is sitting on a folded down armrest kind of thing, if I recall that correctly from the launch. Okay, let's move on. And talking about Tesla's next-gen Roadster. It's going to have SpaceX thrusters, as we've heard some details around already, but Elon's talked more about it. Standing by the flagship supercar, and the Model Y crossover was on scene as well, always in shots, always got to sell a few more of those. Elon Musk and Leno were featured in that promo video that came out ahead of the full show, which is going to be on the next show, I think, on coming Wednesday. Elon's ideas are so out of this world that Leno says he can't tell if Elon is joking or not, and Elon Musk responded that when it comes to the Roadster's rocket thrusters, he's deadly serious. He then describes how the thruster works on the next-gen Roadster. According to Teslarati, Elon said, we're going to use ultra-high pressure compressed air. It's a cold gas thruster. The main thruster will be behind the license plate. So for acceleration, it drops the license plate, and behind the license plate is a rocket thruster. It's full-on James Bond, said Elon Musk. How this works, when I saw this, I initially imagined it being very James Bond. You know how the number plate on the back of the car kind of hinges down, and either, an oil slick will come out of the back of a James Bond car, or, some machine guns. But I don't imagine it. Well, the number plate can't hinge down, because then the number plate wouldn't be visible, and legally that wouldn't be allowed. So when he says that the plate drops down, I can see it sliding down vertically, so it's still on display, but there's something that, like a mechanism where the number plate ratchets down or something, but obviously is still very visible, and out of that comes the thrusters. But that's not the work of a moment. Surely that's going to take a few, even if it's 0.2 of a second, maybe, for a license plate to suddenly drop down, and a rocket booster. Seems so weird talking about rocket boosters. Oh, this is all sci-fi stuff. I don't know how it's going to work. I like thinking about it though. What do you think? What do you reckon? Let's talk about charging your car. It is not as easy as it should be. Charging electric cars can be frustrating on a good day. It should be as easy as just plugging in. Various reasons why it isn't like that. I won't go into them now. But many parts of the world have this weird siloed charging network where everybody's tried to either build their own network or they want their own slice of the pie. And because of that, they don't tend to work very well together. It's a bit like if you had a mobile phone and you went on a road trip and you went to a new city. And the transmitter masts in that city will work with your phone, but before you can make or receive a telephone call or get a text message or send a message to somebody, you've got to go online and register a new account with that town's mobile phone provider. And you've got to give them all your credit card details and your address and all of those things. And then at the end of it, you're then allowed to use the service. That rightly would be called bonkers. But that is exactly how car charging works. The first time you pull up to a charger needing to charge, you either get one of many, many swipe cards or fobs and things and dongles out of your car or your pocket, or you have to just go onto a website and spend far too long putting all your details in, and sometimes, for as long as you're going to be charging for. If you want a quick top-up stop on a fast charger, well, Tritium, they make DC fast charging stations, just launched on the market the plug and charge solution, which their press release calls the world's first available on the market. And I kind of had to read that a couple of times to look at the phrasing of it to see if there's they kind of sort of weaseling out a loophole here to make it sound more exciting than it really is, because plug and charge seems to have been around a long time. Plug and charge is leveraging the ISO 15118 standard, and that enables EVs and chargers to communicate, says Renewable Energy magazine. And the car and the charger will talk to each other, authorize payments directly from the driver's account without the need for an RFID tag or going online and setting up all your details and creating yet another account and putting your credit card details in. It's the first to market, they say. Their charger is the very first one on the market, and it's available immediately for any charge point operators to deploy. These are 350 kilowatt DC fast charging stations. They say the technology promises to reshape the customer experience for the driver and enable the once siloed approach to charging payments to be broken down with any network that wants to operate one to be interoperable. Drivers simply approach the charger regardless of the network. Their charge session starts automatically, and it's securely billed from the moment the charger plugs in to the vehicle. James Kennedy is the CTO of Tritium and co-founder as well. He says, and I quote, "Right now, EV drivers approaching an EV charger will likely have to sign up for that network system to access it and pay for the charging session, adding unnecessary time to the experience and siloing charging networks, even accounting for the ability to pay by credit card at some chargers. This is wildly inconvenient." He says, "With plug and charge, you'll be able to plug the charger into the vehicle and it just charges from your battery to your account." And yes, this is the way it should always have been. Certain countries are doing things differently, so I do have to add, the UK has some new legislation in place that means our chargers eventually will all get, and some of them are converted already, and some of them, the networks are much better than the others, for contactless, which is obviously very, very good. So it's only one step, and you plug your car in, tap your contactless card, always very good in these days of not trying to touch too many things or push too many buttons and all those kind of things with the virus around, and then you get billed. Which is good, but many of these take a prepayment. Now, at their best, it's maybe £5 or £10. Isn't one of the networks like 25 quid? So if you go on a road trip and let me explain prepayment. You tap your card and it'll take the money off. So it'll take that £25 off, and then you'll put in, say, £5 of electricity. And so 3 or 4 days later, they put what you didn't use back onto your card. One of the worst ones for doing this that I found out very early on in owning an EV was Ecotricity and the electric highway. Now, they don't take as much off your card, but they do pre-bill you. So you use their chargers and you plug it in, you use maybe £1 or £2, it's a quick stop to use the toilet, and then you check your internet banking, and if you charge 2 or 3 times that day, a load of money's come out of your account, and you have to wait for it to come back in, which seems crazy in this connected world we live in. I don't mind the money coming out of the account, that's fine, I'm not complaining about that, but put it straight back in. You finish a charge session, and the amount is then refunded, but you give them an interest-free loan for a period of time. And that sucks. And it shouldn't be like that. And I'm glad that the charging networks are moving away from that. How quickly we can get to this utopia is another matter. So not all cars, certainly many cars on the road right now are not set up for plug and charge, but many of the newer connected cars are, or at least will be, with this new standard. It's going to be as far as I know, worldwide standard. We should do a show on this with a charging expert, and I've done one show with Hubject in the past about plug and charge. It was maybe more than a year ago. Time to update that on a Saturday special. Alright, moving on. And Jaguar Land Rover is going to build electrified performance models from their Special Vehicle Operations group. The highest performance and most exclusive models they make are made by SVO. None of which have been fully electric so far, but that will be changing as Jaguar Land Rover intends to launch SV or Special Vehicle Operations branded plug-in hybrids and full EVs. It's a good thing. Says Yahoo News. The reason why the I-Pace is not going to be given the Special Vehicle Operations makeover and treatment. The I-Pace sits on a certain platform, like a bespoke platform. The I-Pace was from the ground up designed to be the I-Pace, but that means it's not easily the platform doesn't underpin a ton of Jaguars, and so what it means is that other Jaguars are going to be given priority over this. So there's going to be a hot version of the upcoming XJ Saloon, all electric. That's going to be rivaling like the Mercedes-Benz EQS. When the EQS gets an AMG version, there'll probably be a quick Jag version of their one as well. I love this because already we're just reaching out from the initial cars being announced, and now we get those little special ones, those one-off models, and that's great. It's a sign of a maturing EV market, and we love it. Right, moving on, and let's talk about Lucid a little bit. Through a series of logistical manoeuvres, help from a few of their parts suppliers, and even some good fortune, Lucid say that actually with all of the virus shutdown, they haven't really been delayed with the installation of critical assembly line equipment like the robotic arms and precision tools and the stamping presses and the jigs, says Bloomberg today. They say a big contribution of good karma has come from location. Arizona didn't prohibit construction work, along with much of the rest of the US starting in March. After completing the steel structure in February, Lucid finished the exterior walls and roofing and has taken delivery of production equipment. Now a parts mounting device maker called Hakuto has been delivering. Equipment manufacturers based in Asia, of course, they were quick to reopen after Japan, China, South Korea allowed businesses to resume operations post-virus. While the initial production volume is in the tens of thousands, the plant is being built. Lucid have their eye on 380,000 vehicles a year. To put it in context, well, Tesla did about 370,000 plus or minus last year out of their California facility. Good luck to Lucid. It's a company that has a lot of funding, but it has funding to get them through to actually the starting of production. And of course, whereas Tesla took over an existing facility and made it theirs, what's fascinating is that this really was a brownfield site that Lucid are starting from scratch. And it could well be a year from not beginning to end, but it could well be the main construction work lasting about a year, which again is very, very quick for the size of construction here. And it's a car maker who isn't just putting out press releases and renders and sketches, and this is what we'll be doing in 2025 just to get some EV publicity. This is a car company who are will be making and selling EVs in their own factory, and we wish them all the best. I'm excited about Lucid. Are you? Let's move on and talk about connected EVs, powering the grid. You and I know this, but it's always interesting to read a new study. Southern California Edison is launching a demonstration project for vehicle-to-grid. We call it V2G or vehicle-to-home, V2H, in which electric vehicles charge and discharge power to and from the grid. More than 200,000 electric cars are on the roads in Southern California's area, and 700,000 in the entire state of California. And a car with a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack like a top-of-the-range Model S or Model X could power an average Californian home for a week. Not all homes, some are more thirsty than others, but on average, says Green Car Reports. The demonstration project aims to see if V2G could lower electric bills in exchange from energy supplied from their cars while connected to the grid. The answer is a resounding yes, because common sense tells you it's a resounding yes, because stored energy is without doubt the future of powering this planet on renewable energy and storing that energy for when we want to use it. And whether that is lithium-ion battery cells, or whether it's hydrogen, or whether it's some other technology that we're not discussing, without question, it's the future. And on a micro scale, this weekend in the UK, we've had a bit of a perfect storm of it's incredibly windy on Saturday, very sunny, so lots of wind turbines, lots of solar, lots been installed over the last few years, and so the generation's up. Very low demand. It's a bank holiday week. It's a 3-day weekend here, bank holiday weekend, so low demand. Also, the temperatures are very warm. No heating is being used. It's the start of our summer, and so blue skies, sun's out. We don't really have air conditioning, so those countries around the world that when it gets hot, all the aircon goes on, we don't really, and of course with the virus. So people are off work, it's a Saturday, and even if it was a normal Saturday, retail is still closed here. So people are at home. Industry and commerce isn't requiring that much energy from the grid. There's something like 3.5 or 3.7 gigawatts of excess power on the grid forecast for Saturday. So the wholesale prices are going crazy low. Now, I'm with an energy provider that changes the electricity prices every half hour. They take the wholesale price, they add a bit to make some money, and Octopus Energy, and then they pass that price on to the consumer. It's not for everyone, but I like it. I'm a bit of an energy nerd, and so I like tracking the half-hour price of my electricity, which this weekend is minus 11 pence. So, like I would say, a micro example of how EVs balance the grid. We've got a lot of energy on the grid, therefore it's not only cheap, but it's cheaper to pay customers to take it than to start closing down generation. And so we just haven't charged our car all week, knowing that this was coming at the weekend. And so there's a long period of the day on the agile tariff that I'm on with Octopus that means we'll just charge the car all day long and probably get through 40, 50, 60 kilowatt hours of energy on Saturday and be paid to do that. It makes sense to store energy. Moving on. And Renault are launching an electric car sharing service in Paris, and they are Group Renault. They have launched their Zity. I've mentioned this before. I'll just say it one more time. That's not a great name. Just thinking about teenagers with a unfortunate outbreak of facial issues. No, the Zity car sharing system started May 20th. There's 500 Zoes out there. It's for Parisians, and it was meant to start earlier in the year, but with shutdown and the virus, with the mobile app that you download to your phone, you view the cars on the map anytime you want, anytime day or night. You find the closest car, you reserve it, you jump in the car, and the rental is yours. A guaranteed battery level is displayed in the app thanks to onboard technology. If the battery level falls too low, then the Zity team will be on hand to quickly recharge it. Final story today, and as electric vehicles are growing rapidly in popularity, we know that there's going to be a time in the future when a wave of used EV batteries start hitting the market. We're not talking about, because even now, EV batteries are so good that the really early Leafs are still going strong. Not everyone's. Many are still going strong. But there will come a time when a wave of used EV batteries hit the market. It will be further off than many experts, so-called experts, predicted. However, that time will come at some point. So what can we do with them? And when they're no longer sufficient for the high power requirement of electric vehicles, can we use more low power applications like grid support? Well, a new study shows that these batteries will have a useful and profitable second life as backup storage at grid scale. Not in your garage, not in your home, but grid scale solar installations where they'll perform for up to another decade after coming out of cars. According to the website Science Blog, this new study, which was published in a journal called Applied Energy, if you're interested, I'll pop a link in the show notes. It's a good read, but a long read. It was carried out by 6 current and former MIT researchers. A recent report from McKinsey showed that as demand for backup storage for renewables grows between now and 2030, second-use EV batteries could really meet that demand, up to half of that demand, in fact. Some EV companies like Rivian, founded with MIT alumnus, you got to add, already designing their battery packs to make use of end-of-life repurposing. They're thinking about what happens in 10 or 15 years before the cars are even built. That was a great show today, full of positivity, whatever you're up to. Hopefully you enjoyed the news. And once again, just loads of amazing, optimistic stuff to be talking about. It just gives me a reason to do this. It feels great to pass on all this fantastic news. Question of the week this week. We're talking about Dyson canning their project that's cost £500 million, but they couldn't make an EV that would cost less than 150k to buy. So they knocked it on the head, didn't want to make a premium EV. What's wrong with making a premium EV? Or should new EVs always be attainable to the regular person? Let me know. You can email me about that. hello@evnewsdaily.com. Leave a comment on the YouTube show. Thank you to 227 patrons of the podcast for making this show happen. If you'd like to be one of those Patreon partners, you can check out patreon.com/evnewsdaily. It's a website where you can fund creators individually. They look after all of the payment stuff, and it's a very, very simple transaction to do. The premium partners that support me on there are Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Brightsmith Group for Clean Tech Talent, Porsche of the Village Cincinnati, and Audi of Cincinnati East. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow, and remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.